Welcome to the Vibes Podcast with your host, Snoop.
Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of Vibes. So this week it's going to be an interesting one for sure. We've had a bit of an up and down week. The coronavirus has cancelled a lot of events, especially when it has come to some tech news, mobile phone news. So a lot of these organizations are trying to rejig their time and look at other ways of making some announcements. But putting that to one side, what has been going on for the past week? Well, let's start off with the UK, who are looking to spend $1.6 billion on the world's fastest weather supercomputer. They're looking to spend a lot of money so that they can have a machine that is 10 times more accurate than its current machines in terms of making more timely and accurate forecasts. Now, this will be really interesting to see because there has been a lot of crazy weather around the world. The UK has its fair share of storms these past couple of weeks. There's been a fair amount of flooding. So to be able to predict weather in a more accurate way, to see what's coming up way before ahead of time, would definitely be a welcome addition to any weather forecasting. With the whole thing with climate change, with weather, like I said earlier on, being up and down, not being the same, I'm sure that this is going to be an investment that's going to be worthwhile, and we'll probably see other countries follow suit in terms of investing more money into supercomputers, into more powerful computers that can do better prediction overall. The next thing that I want to go into is the Samsung Galaxy Z Flip phone. Now, I did say in a previous podcast that they were saying that the foldable screens were made out of glass. However, it seems like that the glass isn't as tough as they led everybody to believe. The glass itself has gone through a lot of testing, and there's videos on YouTube where there's a particular individual who scratches the glass to see how durable it is. It turns out to be that the glass is just as durable as you would find a plastic screen would be. But it is definitely the step in the right direction. It does have a little bit more toughness to it. And like I said, foldable screen technology, all of the thing about making the screen a lot more secure, dust-proof, waterproof, that's going to take time. I mean, it took us a long time to get waterproof and dust-proof phones that we have today. So it's going to take the same amount of time for these foldable screens. But like I said, Samsung really did gloss over that screen. They didn't go too much into it. And after testing, it seems like that it's not as tough. There are warnings about how you should use the screens, how hard you should press, and what you should do and what you shouldn't do. So it is a shame that there is a little bit of backlash on the screens overall. But, like I said, it is fairly new technology. Now, for the listeners in India, Google have decided to end its station-free public Wi-Fi program. They will still offer free Wi-Fi in some locations, but there's going to be a lot of public railway stations which are going to lose free Wi-Fi. There were other places around the world that had it, such as Brazil, South Africa, Mexico, Thailand, and Vietnam, but they're looking to close them down bit by bit. I'm not too sure why that is happening, but like I said, most railway stations will probably provide their own free Wi-Fi, but it seems like Google will be shutting down their solution to it all. So it's pretty sad to see that Google are going to be stepping back, but like I said, they are going to still offer free Wi-Fi through another medium. I know Google definitely tried to make a push so that everybody could have access to data. That hasn't gone as well as they wanted to have done. But hey, it's one of those things. But, if we could get free Wi-Fi in more locations, again, that will be awesome to see. Maybe there's a better solution. Maybe there are other ways that you can get information and get connectivity. I know that a very long time ago, there was a TED video where somebody actually managed to make a device which read the flickering of a light bulb, and that flickering basically gave internet connectivity. I will try and find the link and I will post that once I find it, but it was really, really interesting to see how light bulbs can give you internet activity, internet access. You can download from a normal light bulb that then flashes onto a phone. So there are clever ways of getting information out to everybody. It's just a case of what would be the best medium to do it. Now, if you're a music fan, Apple Music released something called Replay 2019 Playlist, where you can listen to your year's worth of playlist or music that you like to listen to. Now, Apple have made this slight change and they've now released something called Apple Music Replay 2020, which will update your favorite music and favorite tracks that you listen to on a weekly basis instead of waiting until the end of the year. This is definitely a very welcome addition for music fans. Spotify has always led that charge in that sense of playing you your past week's favorite tracks. And to see that Apple are doing the same is definitely welcomed. They are definitely gaining traction. They are definitely getting more and more people listening to that service. So thank you, Apple, for bringing that, because I am definitely an Apple music fan myself. So to see that come in is awesome. Now, with Android, you may have heard that they had RCS messages, which is similar to iMessage. It's the Android version of it all. They're looking to bring RCS messages to Windows 10 PCs, and this is all thanks to Microsoft Your Phone app. Now, the Your Phone app basically essentially lets you connect your Windows phone to your Android device. And if you have a Samsung phone, you can even go as far as see your screen and control your screen remotely. The Your Phone app I've used as well on my Samsung Fold is amazing. You get notifications, you can send text messages, you can get phone calls, you can answer phone calls. It is essentially what Apple do, but this now opens it up. So if you want to send messages, if you want to do more with your phone overall, with your Android phone, please do check out the Your Phone app that you get in Windows 10. But to see RCS messages are now going to be included is going to be really interesting. There is definitely a very interesting partnership between Samsung and Microsoft at this moment of time, which leads to the question is, will the Surface Duo be a production that have been done alongside with Samsung? Are they using Samsung screens, etc.? It is a very interesting partnership for sure. So great to see that that's coming out more and more. Now, going to Amazon, but not really Amazon. I'm going to talk about Jeff Bezos, but he has pledged $10 billion to combat climate change. It's going to be called the Bezos Earth Fund, which will be starting from this summer. So funds will be given out, and grants will be given out from this summer. But it's great to see that you have people such as Jeff Bezos, you've got Bill Gates, you've got other great leaders that are looking to take more action in terms of global changes that are going on and to tackle climate change. And I think this is the big topic, that climate change is a big thing that everybody's going to look into. So to see these big players do that, to give money to ensure that we come up with new ideas or better innovations or better ways of cutting back on our carbon emissions is awesome. Now, Apple are warning of iPhone supply shortages due to the coronavirus outbreak. The shortfalls are purely down to its demands in terms of chips, in terms of supplies to make the iPhone. It's difficult to get these parts because obviously a lot of factories, etc., have been broken down and have been stopped production due to the coronavirus that has been going on. The coronavirus has definitely had a far bigger effect over time. Like I said, with events being cancelled, car manufacturing has been, delayed by it all, and now we're seeing other items like laptops and mobile phones also being affected. But at the end of the day, this is the right call to make. Nothing's more important than human health, and to make sure that we contain this virus. So iPhone productions are being slowed down because of it all. And they're just letting everybody know that this is the case, that there might be a shortage in certain things. So really interesting to see in that space. LG are looking to bring a 48 megapixel camera to its budget smartphone line. Now, LG as a phone manufacturer haven't really hit the market. I mean, they make great screens, they make good tech, but they haven't really... They've hit a particular point and really haven't gone further. So whenever people think about mobile phones, nobody really thinks about LGs. But the fact that they're bringing a 48 megapixel camera to its low budget phones will definitely entice users to pick up their cheaper phones because it will have better cameras. How well it will do will be really interesting to see. I think it's part of the K series is what they're saying. They're saying it comes with a 6.5 inch full HD display. It will house, 4 gigs of RAM. You'll come with 128 gigs of storage. So overall, the spec looks really good. I haven't really had an opportunity to play with an LG device as of yet, but I'm sure it's fine. Now, one of the things that we missed out on from the Mobile World Congress, which was cancelled, is that TCL have a prototype of a phone where the screen actually folds out, or slides out, I should say. It's really interesting to see that a company has made a sliding out screen instead of a folding screen. Will you see different kind of creases? I'm not too sure. But the prototype was supposed to be at this venue, which we didn't get to see. Hopefully, we'll get to see some pictures and videos of it overall. I do see some images in front of me. It looks really interesting. Would it be nice to see how it looked like overall in terms of how it looked like in person? It looks pretty cool, but how do you feel about a screen that now slides out instead of folding? How well would that work? What will the durability be like? And obviously, like I said earlier on, will the screen be good enough? Because it's not going to be glass. So do you need to be more worried about that in terms of how sensitive a phone screen will be? Only time will tell. Now, if you are a Ring user and you have a Ring doorbell or you have a Ring camera, Ring is now forcing you to have two-factor sign-ins for all of its devices. It's a good move. Two-factor authentication is a very important thing to keep your information secure, especially when it comes to cameras that you have outside or inside your home. You don't want anybody to have access to your information. You don't want anybody to have access to your data or be able to see images that you don't want them to see overall. So Ring are definitely following in the footsteps of what Nest have done. You're going to have multi-factor authentication on this. So if you do have a Ring device and you're trying to log in and it's asking you to authenticate again, this is why they are rolling out that change right now as we speak. Now, the SpaceX program have reportedly been saying that they could send private citizens to space as soon as next year. Now, this is going to be really interesting to see what they will offer, how much it's going to cost. But it's said that they will, for the time being, allow 4 individuals to have the opportunity to take flight in a SpaceX space carrier that will go into space. They will spend a few weeks in training in the US, and then they're going to then be launched from Florida, and they will be able to spend 5 days in orbit. If it is successful, this will be the first orbital space tourism experience with, fully Americanized technology. It's going to be really interesting. I mean, as soon as that opens up, I might be tempted to sign up to that. But just imagine being able to have a break and go around Earth for 5 days and be able to see Earth in its fullest beauty from high above, from the skies. So definitely something to keep an eye out on, and I will keep you all posted when there's more to come. Jaguar Land Rover have unveiled an autonomous EV concept for urban transit, and they're saying that this pilot program will launch again in next year in 2021. The actual vehicle itself looks like a larger kind of box, square thing. It's one of those designs that I've seen many times before where the front and the back look very similar, but the seats are supposed to be very comfortable, very spacious. It's definitely going to be interesting to see what's going to happen in terms of autonomous vehicle, but this is all part of Jaguar Land Rover's mission to achieve zero emissions. So definitely zero emissions or cutting back down on carbon footprint is one of the big things for a lot of companies, and that's what's going to come. Now, Google Stadia. They have announced that 18 new phones, including the Galaxy S20, will have access to Google Stadia. Now, if you may or may not know, Google Stadia was only available on a Pixel device. They are allowing more devices to come onto this platform. We have some Samsung devices, we have some Razer phone devices that are definitely going to be able to access the Stadia system. It's still a little bit slow in my honesty. I think Stadia could do far better. I wish it was on iOS. I wish it was on more devices. It still isn't there. I mean, they've made an announcement of a few games, but it still is lagging. Nvidia have launched their GeForce Now streaming service. Unfortunately, they're going through a rocky start themselves with one or two publishers that have decided not to allow their games to stream on it. But still, there's still a lot more offering. The GeForce Now application works on any smartphone with 2 gigs of RAM and with Android 5.0 or higher, whilst it seems like Stadia will only work on Android 10. So it is quite interesting on what's happening. Google have allowed more devices to come on, but is it good enough? Not really. There is still a long way to go. If Google do not turn it around this year, I think Stadia could be suffering a little bit. So let's see what happens there. Now, continuing with the mobile, with the gaming front, I should say. If you were ever a fan of Microsoft Halo games with Master Chief, and for those gamers out there who know that I'm talking about, Nerf have released a Halo themed gun. So you get Nerf guns that are basically in the shape of Halo guns that you play in the game. It's really interesting to see Nerf do that. So if you are a Halo fan, if you like playing with these Nerf guns, then you can pick up these Halo themed guns that you can play around with. I know that Nerf guns can be pretty cool, which you can play around with. I know that I've played around with it for a few times. Will I be picking up the Halo theme ones? Not really. I'm kind of too old for that. But, you know, if you're looking to pick that up, that's really interesting. It'll be interesting to see what other games will influence toys moving forwards. Facebook Gigabit Wireless is now rolling out in Puerto Rico. Facebook's Teragraph Wi-Fi technology is basically delivering high-speed broadband in different locations, and Puerto Rico is one of those countries where the pilot is taking place. They're going to give really, really fast broadband or internet connectivity, very much of what Google were trying to do. This is Facebook's own solution, so let's see how well that goes. I think that's going to be launching this week, so again, something to look out for if you are in that area. Twitter have made some acquisitions this past week. They've acquired Stories Photo and video editor maker Chroma Labs. It's going to be interesting to see what they're going to do. Chroma Labs were the firm behind editors for photos and videos that were meant for Instagram and Facebook stories, as well as Snapchat. But the whole buyout from Twitter. It's going to be really interesting to see how Twitter are going to use this. Is Twitter going to change in terms of what it's going to do, in terms of videos, in terms of pictures, in terms of making stories on Twitter? Let's see what happens. But that has been a very, very interesting acquisition for sure. Now, security keys, one of the things that I've used myself that I've really liked. Google are now making its Titan security keys now available across Europe. So you can buy these security keys. You can plug these keys in to allow you to log in. I actually use a security key myself. So if I plug in the security key into a machine, I go to log in, I say I've got a security key, it reads my key and then logs me in. It is something that is gaining traction. The one that I use is made by a different vendor called Yubico. But the thing is Google have teamed up with Yubico themselves to launch it within the Europe region. They've also going to look at releasing it in other places like Japan, etc. But those hardware security keys are now being released in more and more locations, and Google are definitely making a push for it. So, if you're very interested in those, then please do pick one up. They can be a little bit pricey, but I think they're worth it. Now, Mozilla, the people who make Firefox, have now released a standalone VPN service. And basically it uses the newest WireGuard standard when it comes to this VPN. They've had VPN within Firefox for a little while, but now that it's now released it out for everybody to use. So if you're looking for a decent VPN service to use for yourself, it's going to be $5 a month from what I can see. It's only available to US users at this moment of time. But if you're looking for a VPN service, and if you are a fan of Mozilla, then obviously they've now released one. Have a look. It should be available on the Play Store and on the App Store for you to download. Now, New York City, only affordable alternative to Uber and Lyft has been launched. That happened a few days ago. It is called Myle, Myle. It is available in all 5 boroughs. So, obviously there's a new taxi service in town called Myle, and it's supposed to be an affordable alternative to Uber and to Lyft. So if you are in the New York area, if you're looking for something else that's reasonably priced, that does the same thing as Uber, as Lyft, then check out Myle. It was founded by a former 20-year veteran of the city's taxi industry. So it's definitely being run by someone who knows what they are doing. Adobe have made some updates to the Photoshop tool to the iPad, which is bringing it closer to what your desktop can do. So it's really interesting to see that there is continuous work going on with the Adobe Suite app on the iPads. iPad OS is supposed to make your iPad feel more like a desktop. There's more and more things happening, more and more updates. Really, really cool to see that, you can do more desktop worthwhile tasks within such an application. I mean, these iPads are powerful. So if you can really push it to its limit, you can definitely do as much as you can do on a laptop. And I think it is a bit time. It's about time that this happens. People are asking for that to happen. Now, Intel have made an announcement. They've got a new chip called Horse Ridge. And basically what they're looking to do is this chip is going to outline quantum computing and make it smaller and make it faster. There's not too much information given away about this. If you are really interested, you can go onto the Intel website to read more into it. But it is really going behind the whole quantum computing kind of push that we're going through. And for those that may not understand quantum computing or what that's all about, the best way that I can probably explain it to you all is, as you know, a computer does ones and zeros right now. And that's how it kind of communicates in bytes, right? So you have ones and zeros that go across. And basically what they're saying with quantum computing is you can have a 1 and a 0, plus you can have a 1 and a 0 at the same time. And if you push that further, then there's different degrees of variance between a 1 and a 0. So there's a 0.1, there's a 0.11, there's a 0.12. Just, I don't want to bore you too much, but the whole idea is computing is going to become a lot more intelligent, computing is going to become a lot more powerful, and computing is going to become a lot more quicker overall. It's fast now, but just imagine it being tenfold quicker moving forwards. But there's definitely a lot of companies that are looking into quantum computing. We're still a long way off till we see that, but it is around the corner, I should say. I guess we'll see it within the next 10, 15 years that we'll see it. Now, Microsoft have now made their all-in-one Office app available to everybody across Android and iPhone. Now, the Office app, I've been fortunate enough to play on my Android in a beta, and basically what it is at this moment right now, you might have your mobile phone app, and you've got, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, that are all separate applications. And what Microsoft have done is they've now released an Office app which now merges all three of those applications into one application alone. It's been getting a lot of rave reviews. People like the fact that it's easier to get hold of these documentation editors as quickly. You can do Excel documents, PowerPoint documents, Word documents, and it's all amalgamated into one. So really interesting to see there. Alongside with this, there's another update from Uber, and obviously I was mentioning Uber and Lyft earlier on. Uber now lets you help report problematic drivers during your ride now. So usually what tends to happen is if you have an issue with an Uber driver, you would let them know of the problem at the end of the ride. But now you can do it during your ride if you have a problematic driver. The new feature lets you report non-emergency concerns way before your trip is over. So definitely that is a welcome change for the application overall. Spotify, the very popular music streaming app, is now testing real-time lyrics. It's partnering with Music Match again. They've had this partnership before where you could see lyrics, but they're looking to do something where you can see lyrics as the song goes on. Now, Apple Music already does this. There's a functionality for you to click on the lyrics tab, and as the song is going along, it will go along. It makes an awesome karaoke kind of tool at the same time. Spotify are looking to do this. They're trialing this, and hopefully they can get it just as good as what Apple does. Android, Google, they've made an announcement. They've made a release of Android 11 developer preview. And the focus on this preview is primarily on 5G and better privacy overall. It is on very, very early stages at the moment. There's still a lot of work to be done. They're looking to release Android 11 by the end of the year. It has been worked on beforehand. Now, as I was talking about Samsung's foldable glass earlier on, which wasn't as tough as it was, Samsung are looking to now sell its foldable glass display to other companies for them to use. The glass could be tougher, like I said, but Samsung are opening up their screens to other companies to use overall. We know companies like Apple have made use of Samsung displays, so will this be something that Apple will pick up? Will Apple use Samsung folding glass displays to make a new iPhone? We don't know. That's something that we have to wait and see what happens on that front. Hasbro have made an announcement, something that really excites me, but they are relaunching classic Tiger electronic gaming handhelds. Now, I don't know if you remember, but back in the day, you used to get these little handheld games. They weren't that complex. They were just little sprites that would move. They were preset sprites, nothing changing like you would find on a Nintendo or a Game Boy. But they were the original handheld gaming devices. And they've now said that they're going to be releasing 4 LCD games: The Little Mermaid, Sonic the Hedgehog 3, Transformers, and X-Men Project X are going to be the 4 games that are going to come in its original casing. It's definitely one for people that remember using them. Are they going to be as enjoyable to play? I'm not too sure, but they weren't easy. They were really, really tough games. So really interesting to see that they're making a nostalgic comeback. Now, as I'm doing this podcast, Staples is now going to be opening podcast studios in 6 of its Boston stores, and customers will have access to professional equipment and discounted hosting. So if you're interested to make your podcast, if you are based in Boston, go to your nearest Staples and you can make your own podcast show and get it hosted. So that's really interesting to see. It will be interesting to see what kind of technologies or what kind of equipment that they have, but that will be cool. Will we get a rise in podcast listeners, podcast shows? It's definitely something that has gained momentum again. Nissan have made an announcement that they're hoping that people will pay roughly about, $650 to $700 a month to have cars on demand. So just imagine a subscription service, but to own a car. That's definitely going to be something that's going to be coming in. Subscription services are something that are growing. I've had my concerns about signing up to a lot of things, and people losing track to it. But how would you feel about having a subscription service to a car, that you subscribe to a car instead of owning it outright? Is that something that interests you? Will it be something that might be decent? I mean, for me, I don't know what kind of cars that Nissan are looking to have, but if they have electronic cars as part of that subscription, that might be something that might tempt people. But let's see how it goes. I still think the price is a bit too high. To pay $700 a month for a car is a bit pricey for a subscription. So let's see what happens. Now, there's reports with the whole Brexit thing that UK Google users will lose GDPR protection. Now, this is all up in the air at the moment. We don't know if that is true or not true, but a lot of organizations are getting prepped for Brexit when it really comes into effect by the end of the year. Will the UK still adhere to GDPR? Will the UK follow what the US does in terms of data? It will be really interesting. From what I know and from what's being said is Great Britain do intend to adopt the GDPR that has been set by the European Union. Will it follow those standards afterwards? Interesting, but at this moment right now, Google are saying that they might look into taking away that whole GDPR thing for the UK. It all depends on what happens there. Now, MGM have had a data breach that has exposed personal details of 11.6 million hotel guests. So, if you have recently been in a MGM hotel, I highly suggest that you double check everything that you've got in terms of your personal information, passwords, credit card details, etc., etc. Like I said, 10.6 million hotel guests' informations were leaked. They haven't quite said what has been leaked in terms of information, but like I said, just make sure that you have a look into that, whether to see if you have been hit by any means of hacking or any means of personal information loss, etc. So please do have a look into that. And that's one of the things, we are going to see more of that happen. And talking about breaches, Samsung, weirdly enough, mistakenly pushed notifications to Galaxy phones worldwide. So if you own a Galaxy device, you had a Find My Phone alert with the number 1. It literally was accidentally sent by Samsung themselves, so nothing to worry about. But it did cause a lot of confusion. I know that it caused confusion for me because I was like, well, I didn't do that. What's going on? Had a quick look online and realized that Samsung had sent out a push when they didn't really need to. It was accidental, so nothing to worry about if you saw that. But on a safe measure, like I said earlier on, please do change your passwords. Make sure you do that quite often because, security is paramount. Your information is very important to you, and I'm sure that you hold quite a lot of sensitive information that is dear to you overall. Now, there's a company called Zero. They have a SRS, electronic motorbike, and they're saying that you will get 201 miles of range on this motorbike and that the premium model will charge in under an hour. I've not seen too many electronic motorbikes, but to see one will be interesting. I know that electrical cars have a lot of power, so I can imagine these motorbikes going very, very quickly. So the company name is Zero with a Z, and like I said, they're promising 201 miles of range on a bike. Obviously, with Mobile World Congress being cancelled and canned due to what has been going on, Sony have slowly been announcing a new raft of phones. They've got one phone with its unique longer body, which is ideal for watching movies. So if you're interested to see what Sony have got to offer, then please do have a look on their YouTube page and on their website. Apple have made an announcement that they may be open to letting users set their own default apps. And they are considering loosening some restrictions when it comes to third-party apps. One that comes to mind will be items such as being able to use Amazon's AI versus Apple's own AI. There will be other things such as using the Outlook app instead of using the Mail app, using a different browser such as Chrome versus Safari. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. There was a move in October last year that allowed Apple's AI to play tracks on Spotify. They're saying they're probably going to open that up. So are we going to see the Apple platform become a lot more friendlier to other organizations? That's definitely going to be interesting. HTC have announced Project Proton, where they're showing off their next VR headset, and they're saying that it should fit more like glasses overall. There are images. It still looks a bit funky. It looks like one of those kind of glasses that you see that these superheroes wear in a Marvel movie. But they are definitely trying to make VR headsets lighter. They're making it definitely make it look better. So let's see how that goes. Honda have recently released an app, and this app helps Civic Type R drivers become better racers. The app generates a driver smoothness score to let you know how smooth that you drive. It's called Log R, and it is out there for Civic Type R drivers. So if you're looking to see how well your driving's like overall and in faster speeds, I guess, then you can download this app and have a look. A bit of a strange move there by Honda, but definitely they've released that. Microsoft have made an announcement with their own security tool, Microsoft Defender, that their security software is going to be coming out on iOS and on Android devices. How do you feel about that? Microsoft's ATP has been rated to be a very good security software overall to prevent your computer from getting viruses and malware. I know that MacBooks had them recently as well, and they're looking to do the same for iOS and Android devices. I'm not too sure how I feel about iOS, but definitely a welcome surprise for Android devices overall. But definitely, I guess those are one of the things that we're going to see more and more of. We're going to see more antivirus malware applications to ensure that your information is secure, no matter what medium that you use. Hasbro have announced that they're going to release a Baby Yoda toy. Now, one which actually moves and one which is going to be, fluffy, etc. The Mandalorian has caused a massive stir, and Baby Yoda has been one of the biggest reasons why people have loved the show. So if you're after a Baby Yoda show, then or Baby Yoda toy, I should say, then hopefully you'll be able to pick one up this year. Windows 10 are going through a slight design change, and you will notice it over time. But all of Windows 10 icons are getting a redesign, which has more color, which looks a lot more nicer to the eye. We're seeing a lot of icon changes by a lot of organizations, and I think, Google have made a few changes. I think Apple have made some changes some years ago. Will they do the same even more? But Microsoft are definitely making more changes when it comes to the icons. It will be interesting to see how that goes. The T-Mobile Sprint merger, which I mentioned last week, that deal could be closed by the 1st of April. That makes me laugh because it's April Fool's and you never know what's going to happen on that day. But the T-Mobile and Sprint merger is looking to be set to be closed by the 1st of April, which will definitely bring a lot to the US customers out there in terms of mobile data. Facebook apparently are going to pay users for their recordings, for voice recognition, for speech recognition. You're not going to get a lot of money out of it, but they definitely want to give incentives to people where users can earn up to $5 so that Facebook can then use the user recordings, their voice recordings, for better speech recognition overall. It's the only way that such technology is going to improve, but interesting to see that that Facebook are paying users to do that. It is something that they definitely are that they are definitely working on. They've definitely worked in the VR space very well. Are they going to tie that into the VR space? I'm not too sure, but it will be interesting to see what's going to happen in terms of voice recognition. Now, I was talking about The Mandalorian earlier on, and a lot of people thinking there's quite a lot of green screens that are used, etc., etc. But apparently, in the latest version or within the latest TV show, The Mandalorian, they used a lot of the sets to be, instead of using a green screen, they used an Unreal engine. Now, Unreal is a engine that a lot of video game manufacturers use to make their video games in. Sometimes when you start a video game, you see powered by Unreal. And a lot of the scenes from this TV show that is available on Disney Plus has been rendered through this. So they haven't used green screens. They've actually put actors in there and used a computerized background without green screens to give you the effect of what's around them and to make the environment. So an interesting way that we're seeing computer technology or computer gaming technology now coming into video gaming overall. So video gaming coming into TV shows, I should say, overall. So really interesting to see that mix. Tesla have received permission to work on its German Gigafactory. Basically, the company will need to clear 91 hectares of forest to build this Gigafactory. I'm not too sure how I feel about that, because they are going to knock down a lot of trees, a lot of forestry to build what they need to build. Overall, it is to make electrical cars or to make batteries, etc. But was it necessary to knock down all of this trees and everything and knock down these forests? I mean, 91 hectares is quite a lot. But overall, I think the aim is to make something that's going to be better for the environment overall when it comes to electronic cars. Again, I still need to understand on, how much benefit we are going to get from electrical vehicles, because you still need to make electricity in one way or another. So that's going to be interesting to see. But Germany have definitely given Tesla the go-ahead for that. Now, there's been another issue when it comes to data. I'm still reading into it, and I will update as soon as I find out what it is. But there's been another company where 120 million household information has been exposed. It's from a company called Tetrad or something like that. I'm not too sure what they do. But they're saying that they have been hacked. A lot of information has been leaked, and again, I'm not too sure. As soon as I find out more what this organization does, I will let you know. That is kind of breaking news that has come out within the last couple of hours, but I will update definitely for the next podcast to say what systems or what they own. Google search is now showing invitations to private WhatsApp groups. You can find some sensitive data in some cases of that. A bit of a strange move. I know that a lot of work needs to be done to tie that down, but it seems like that Google's indexing has allowed some, private WhatsApp groups and conversations to be slipped out to public. It's something that both organizations need to work on. Not great for Google, not great for WhatsApp overall for that to happen. And the last thing I'm going to end on is the Friends cast is going to get back together. So if you're a fan of Friends, there's going to be a reunion for probably a one-off show to launch HBO Max. So if you are looking at that service, if you're looking to see what might be on there, if you're a huge fan of Friends, then obviously HBO will be releasing a one-off Friends show. And that's it all really for this week. Like I said, not much has been going on. I hope you've enjoyed this week's episode, and I shall chat to you all next week. Bye.